My name is Marianne Allen, and today I am hopping on here to talk to you about some of my experiences with financial limitations here in Liberia. My generator is going on, so I hope it's not as bad as the last time, as I am not in the kitchen, so the noise should be reduced a little bit. If you're new here, I relocated to Ghana 2 years ago as a transition to Liberia, which is my home country. I am now in Liberia, and just trying to adjust to everything here. And I am pretty open about my journey, and very straightforward about it as well. So if you are interested in relocating back to Liberia, stick around, subscribe, and hit the notification button to get some really valuable information to help with your relocation process. So what has been my experience around moving money around in Liberia, or moving money in and out of Liberia? This has not been the easiest, and in addition to that, it's pretty costly. So we're just going to talk about it and find the opportunities in that, because I think every issue that Liberia has is an opportunity to create something. All of you guys that are out there, all of you that are in the finance industry, can come back and do something, and you don't have to actually be living in Liberia to create something in Liberia. So just a short talk, and I'm gonna leave it up to you to go and play around with it in your heads and come up with a solution, because we need it. So there are actually 3 things I want to mention in here. Number 1, regulations. Number 2, limitations, financial limitations here, and then just access, or the cost. So number 2, limitations and the cost, and then access. So regulation, what I've seen with financial regulations, I don't know if we have some. Like, that's not my area, so that's not my background. I'm not very okram into the financial world. So if you are aware or you know, let us know on here. But from what it looks like from a consumer's perspective, doesn't seem like we have much of a regulations between the banks, the banking institutions, and financial institutions. So what I mean is, everyone just sets different fees for different things. Like, different banks just do different things, and the variation in the fees can tell you there are no regulations. Like, you can just do things based on, and I think we see that across the board in Liberia in different sectors as well. So one example is ATM fees. One institution, and I don't want to be calling names of institutions, but maybe I should. But one institution will have an ATM fee of $12 a transaction. So every time you go to the ATM to get money, it costs you $12 of your money. Imagine coming back here, you're trying to stretch every dollar, and somebody is taking $12 for every time you go in there. Another institution would charge $7 to get money out of the ATM. Another institution would charge $5 for bank transaction ATM fee. And my question is, the difference between 5 to 12 is a pretty big gap. So how are they coming up with those amounts, right? In a place like Liberia, and there could be many reasons why that I'm not familiar with. So somebody into the financial industry, please say something so it can calm my temper down. But ain't no way we're supposed to be paying that much money to get money out of the ATM. $12 is a lot of money. In Liberia, that's almost 2 bags of cement. It can do stuff. Now, the fee didn't really get me, right? But then here's where I really got pissed. You're limited as to how much you can get out of the ATM, which is granted everywhere. You're limited. But the limitation in Liberia is $200. $200 for every $12 for every $200. I think another institution does $250, and that's it. So imagine someone charging you $12 to take out only $200. Meanwhile, what you're trying to do is going to cost you $300 because Liberia is such a cash society. You can't readily use your card. That's another part I'm going to talk about. Like the way you would use it in other areas. So you always got to have cash on you most of the time. It's the preferred way of payment. So if you are here and you have your bank accounts in the US, that's where your income is, you have to move money every time for your living expenses here. You can't have $10,000 cash. Like, you can't just keep that much money on you. We're not used to doing that from the US. So more than likely, you would be moving money over to you on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, etc. So you trying to get $300 out of the ATM to go get stuff done. In the US, sometimes we go to the ATM and we get $500 at one time, so back to it, $300 out of the ATM, you have to give them $12. For $200, then you have to remove the card, reinsert it to take out the other $100 and pay another $12. So $24 for doing that. All because you're trying to get your money as quickly as possible to go do some kind of transaction. So that's one part that it doesn't make sense. Like, it really doesn't make sense. And at first you might be like, oh, it's no big deal, but it is a lot of money. It adds up, because sometimes you may need to go back to that ATM a couple times in the week. You cannot be paying that much money. And then also it forces you to take out a lot more. You can't just take out $50 because then you're losing. It forces you to take out a lot more that you may not need, but somehow you now have it with you because you don't want to spend that fee again. And you use up that money quickly. And even if I wanted to do like a lump sum withdrawal, it still doesn't excuse me paying the fee. Like, you have to do the multiple transactions to get the fee out. And $7 ain't good either. So we went to the lowest. Here's the thing, the bank that issues the lowest, I'm gonna say it, GT Bank. That bank is all the way in Sincor, right next to St. Nangwe Church. We live in Painesville Police Academy area. That's the only ATM location. Every time we need money, we have to go all the way over there to take money out of the ATM. Imagine trying to go to a store here in ELWA, but you need cash. And now you're going all the way to St. Nangwe, Sincor side, just to get money out of the ATM to come back, to come and do the payment. Traffic and all of that, sometimes by the time you get there, the store is closed. It's frustrating. And because that's the only place that at least you can pay $5, so you can make the multiple payments out and be able to pay just about what the other bank would charge you. So that's one thing. ATM fees are ridiculous in Liberia. And then the limit, if you say pay $12 for every $500 you take out, that makes sense. But $12 on every $200, it's robbery. Modern day robbery. There should be some form of regulation to that. And then another thing, as it relates to access, there are very few ATMs we have around. I remember when we were in the US, we used to hear people here on Facebook complaining that even when you go to the ATMs, you can't even get money. Like, money is finished. Like, it's not even doing the purpose that it's supposed to be there for. Doesn't solve that problem. Our issue here is, yeah, you'll find some ATMs that have money in it, but they're not evenly distributed across the cities. They're all centrally located, which does not help at all. Everything is based in Syncor. Things needs to get out of the Syncor area. Like, we need to decentralize some of these things. I know they said there are a few ATMs around ELW area, but in most cases they're not working. And I think the few that you might find around here will probably be Echo Banks. We have not been lucky to find one. People have just said it. They haven't really told us where. But then every time they say it, they also add that there may not be money in it. There is some at Ala Lagoon, so Congotown Back Road. That would be the closest. We've never been lucky to get money out of that ATM. It's always empty. So the entire Painesville belt, no ATM. Every time you want to use that, and there are a lot of people living now on the highway, like Tinker Village, Doazon, going rehab, going back that way. We can't be going to Syncor to get money out of the ATM to come back to Tinker Village to buy stuff. It just doesn't work. So if you have an idea about providing ATM machines in around Liberia, it's a very great idea. My husband thought about that once when tried to get some information. The financial institutions, because they don't want people getting into that business, I think they require just to get the license is ridiculously expensive, which means only the foreigners may be able to afford that and not the typical Liberian. Something needs to be done. So you guys that are in the finance area, we need y'all need to come help us here, because we're sinking. We can't, in this day and age, we can't continue to be cash society, heavily reliant on cash. It's not okay. And then so that's one thing, the lack of access all over the place. I can't even say anything about the Gardnersville area or the Brewersville area, because I don't know. Right here next to town, we don't even have some over here. So that's one area. And then the purchasing with your card in the stores, yes, they're available. Very few stores, not every one of them. When you go to the stores, so the fees actually follow you. When you go to the stores or anywhere that takes POS transaction, you pay a fee. You don't pay, it's not like tax related fee. You pay the taxes and all of that, but you pay a fee for using your card. So they penalize you for using your card. Liberia is not open to digital money transfers. We're still not there yet, and I feel like they're fighting us to not even get there. They charge huge fees to these vendors, to these providers, business people. The money is too much for the people to pay, so the people charge the customers. So customers are paying these fees that they shouldn't be paying because of the banks. And do you know how many times I've gone over to the store to make huge purchases? There is a place that charged me 10%. There's a place, and then majority of the time, I don't know if they stole from me, that one seemed a little too high. Majority of the time is 3%. They have different fee for local cards, and they have different fee for international cards. If you show an international bank card, it's a different fee. It's a higher fee, and you pay that. It's almost like going to the ATM, yeah? So imagine, ATM is far from me. I can't go to the ATM. If I go, I'm limited with the cash. So I decide to just take my card and make the purchase. I go in there, I still pay fee, and the fee is almost equivalent to if I went to the ATM and did multiple transactions. You can't, so we're being penalized for using our cards. We who have at least the financial capital to bring into the country, they want us to come, but the system is not helping us sustain and maintain what we have. We're spending money like this, it's coming out of your hands, and even the foreigners are complaining about the financial systems. In fact, now some of these guys are not even having POS in their places. I went to buy some wood and stuff to build my wardrobe in the store. The man didn't have POS. He could only take cash. I went into the store without cash. And then so we started talking, and he was explaining how ridiculous the financial institutions are. They're stealing from them. It costs them more money having POS in their place than not having it. So they might as well just. So I had to pay by mobile money. I didn't have mobile money yet, so I had to call someone else, my dad, transfer the money from the US to my father for my father to pay by mobile money. It was a long process. We were sitting in there just waiting and waiting, and he saw how inconvenient it was. He saw how frustrated I was to come and make a simple purchase that morning to go on with my business while the carpenter bring the goods home to start the work. We couldn't do it. So the man fell for me. I was sitting right there. He actually called the bank and told them, say, I need you guys to deliver a POS to me here. And he was telling me, I'm just gonna have it for customers like you that will come, and that's the only option, easiest payment option that you have. And most times when we go and they say, oh, there's 8% fee or 7% fee added to we just tell them add it to our bill, we'll pay it. So every time you go use your card, you're paying $10, you're paying $15 extra, you're paying and it does add up. We don't like to see this is your receipt, but this is how much you're supposed to actually pay. It just sounds like exploit. So something needs to be done about that. We don't have any kind of regulations. We don't understand what the regulations are. Does it work? Does it not work? Is it on books or not? We have limited access to money. I mean, I could talk about this on and on, but I'm gonna start work soon, and I've been chatted and stuff, so I'm going to wrap this up here. Another thing is with the mobile money, two mobile money institutions here, Orange Money and Lone Star Mobile Money, they don't talk to each other. So if you have money with Lone Star, you can transfer to Orange. You can send somebody on Orange Money. They have to have the same thing. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, mobile money fees are extra fees, sending fees versus going to receive the money fees. Transferring to another person fee is a lot of little money coming out of people's pockets. So if you're into that area, please make sure you brainstorm, come up with ideas that you can come and do here. Whether you want to work with NGO, the government, but something needs to happen, or private sector, something needs to happen. We need some flexibility, we need access, we need lower cost, we need some competition, so at least the cost can go down a little bit. Yeah, so opportunities. I told you guys, every problem here in Liberia is an opportunity for someone to create something. So create something, come back. Y'all need to come back. You need to come visit. I can tell you that any more than I am already doing. Have a good day. Thanks for watching up to this end. Leave a comment, subscribe, hit the notification button. I'll talk to you again soon. Gotta get to work.